Hi everyone, welcome to Scare. Thank you for joining us today for our wintertime training. I'm Taylor, I'm the youth programs coordinator here at Scare. I also help out with our youth tutoring services as well. So today's wintertime training is going to be focused on 'tis the season to de-stress, right? So we know that this time of year can be especially stressful for everyone, and so we wanted to focus on some of the ways to relax and try to take some of the stress off of our shoulders. So this is our third wintertime training in our series of 4 this year. The other ones are also available on YouTube and or will be on YouTube pretty soon if you wanted to join those ones as well. But today we're going to be focusing on why is this season so stressful, right? What are the things that are contributing to our stress during this time of year? I know that the rest of the year can also be stressful, but sometimes there's an extra layer just during this holiday time. We're also going to go over ways to de-stress. So what can we do to try to cope with the stress that we're experiencing? And then on top of that, we'll go over some handmade gift ideas and some family activities. We wanted to make some kind of like easily accessible gift ideas, family activities. And for me, that's like the fun part also that can also help de-stress, right? So we'll dive right into it. So here's the big question for today. Why are the holidays so stressful? Right. And so, like I said, the rest of the year can also be stressful, but sometimes there's a little bit more during this time. Could be an increase in financial stress, maybe just emotional distress and like heightened emotions. Family dynamics often bring a lot of stress around the holiday time. Maybe there's relatives that don't get along or conflict that kind of hasn't been dealt with or comes up around this time of year. There could be some extra pressure that you're putting on yourself or that you feel like other people are putting on you during this time of year also, in addition to stress from schedules. I just feel like you do not have enough time in the world to deal with all the holiday stuff. And also, we may be stressed from expectations that we're putting on ourselves, on the holidays this year, putting it on others around us, or maybe we feel like others are putting expectations on us, and that's giving us, a little more stress than we need. So now that we've kind of gone over the brief topics of why holidays are stressful, we're going to dive into each one a little bit deeper and just go for some ways to deal with it. All right, so first, a big one, financial stress. I know we all experience financial stress at other times of the year also, but things like holiday gift spending can kind of add to it. Right, we want to get the best gift for everyone. We want to make sure we don't miss a person, make sure our kids have the best gifts around, all that. And that can really increase the financial stress. We also may be spending more for social occasions. So I know for myself, I have like a lot of friends and family that come into town around the holidays. And so naturally, because they want to get together, do things, we end up spending a little bit more money than I really need to around the holiday time. So maybe you find yourself in a situation like that. Maybe just friends want to get together more to celebrate. Just other events oftentimes come up, which leads to more spending. It could even be holiday activities, right? If you want to make the holidays feel special, make it feel like it's truly the holiday time, the holiday season, and a fun, joyful, memorable time for yourself and your kids, you might be going out a little bit more. So it could be ice skating, doing holiday events, buying things to make the holidays feel special, different decorations, the things at home. And all this stuff really does add up. And there are ways to still participate in things like gifts and the social occasions and activities without it being such a huge stressor on us. So these are just some super general tips for how to lessen the financial stress. So this also works best. I know we're getting pretty close to the holiday time already, but this also works best if we have it kind of like ready in advance. So maybe next year too, this would be something to keep in mind. But one of the first tips would be to make a spending plan, right? Decide how much money you're working with and what you plan to spend and what you're able to spend. Maybe it's per person or per gift, or how much you're willing to spend on social occasions like going out. And just having that number in front of you, because I know it can be really easy to see 10 different things that you think your child would love or that your, friend would love, and you just end up getting all of them. But if you make a spending plan, it can help you maybe stay on track with not overspending and trying to stay within that certain amount. In addition to that, it's also really helpful to make a gift plan. So again, before you even do the shopping and just scrolling and buying, however you shop, going in person and buying things, try to make a gift plan. So if you have a notebook in front of you, just jot out all the people that you are trying to get gifts for, give gifts to, and then you could even jot down some ideas for each of them. So that way you kind of go in with a plan, having some idea of what you want to get them, or even a general idea. It could be like, well, I know this person likes to read. So it could be a book, but maybe you don't know the exact book yet. So just having some type of general plan to lead you in the right direction can also help you from like keep you from overspending, right? And then also that leads to less stress because then you have some ideas already of what you could be looking for and go from there. Also, if you're trying to make the holiday time feel really special and feel joyful, you can create home activities for the holiday, right? So instead of spending money going out and about, try to create your own little traditions at home, some fun times with the kids, things that they'll remember and still find just as fun and just as joyful. And also, another way to maybe feel less stress on gifts is to just try a different approach to gift giving, right? We often want to give the best gifts to everyone around us, put in as much effort as possible. But realistically, sometimes it's a little better if you do something that works with you, right? So it could be a different approach, could be just doing handmade things this year, right? So maybe you make some jewelry or you make some whatever your hobby is, whatever you're willing to tackle and try. It could also be baked goods. So if there's a certain thing that you really enjoy making and people really love eating it, um, go ahead and bake your famous batch of cookies, put it in a nice little dollar store tin, and that could be like a really meaningful gift. And to me, that takes sometimes more effort than actually going out and buying stuff. So it's beautiful. And for example, another idea of like a different approach, if handmade or baked goods are not your thing, is just trying something different. So, for example, my immediate family, my parents, my sister and I, we, my sister and I are grown up now, so we really wanted to try to not focus on giving each other these big gifts or like stressing out so much about it because every year I think we were all a little stressed about what we're going to get people or we're going to get each other. So, because obviously gift giving is such a big part of the holiday season, we didn't want to also get rid of it entirely. So instead, we focused on just getting stocking stuffers. So just getting a couple stocking stuffers for each person. Um, so that way it still kind of honors that tradition of gift giving and that like thoughtfulness there, but without breaking the bank and also just lessens so much of the stress of trying to choose gifts. So even maybe something like that, incorporating that into your gift giving approach could really help. All right, so another thing that tends to happen around the holidays could be heightened emotions, right? Maybe we're just feeling a little bit more emotional, stressed, whatever it may be, just from the events of the year. It could have been a really hard year. And now that it's getting towards the end of the year, you're probably reflecting on it more. Or things are coming up because it is supposed to be a special time of year, but you're still stressed about what has already happened. You could be grieving over loved ones, which is really common during the holiday season. On top of that, could be experiencing some higher anxiety and depression during the season, especially now that it's getting dark at like 5 p.m. That can really throw our bodies off. And I know it can mess with me sometimes too. So you could just be experiencing just heightened emotions because of that. And also just tiring ourselves out, just pushing ourselves to keep up with the holidays. Right. So by constantly pushing ourselves, we kind of burn out. And that can lead to some heightened emotions and stress throughout the season. So, some tips to lessen heightened emotions. So, this is probably one that you've already heard, but like meditation, right? And you probably hear often for a reason. But meditating can really help to manage just like really big feelings that we have and heightened emotions we experience. So, and it doesn't have to be like what you maybe picture meditation as if you're watching a movie, right? Someone dressed in all these loose clothing, sitting crisscross with their fingers like looped, going, But meditation can look, I guess, however it works for you, really. So meditation could be maybe it's when you're laying on the bed and you just play your favorite song and try to just listen to the song. That could be a form of meditation. It could be even just going for a walk, actively thinking about, what how you're feeling, being mindful of like what your body's feeling, what your mind is feeling. Meditation could even look like it doesn't have to be some really big thing. Like I said, it could be just 2 minutes, right? You find a YouTube video um, that leads you through whatever meditation works for you. So any meditation is better than none. I always heard that saying that was like, if you don't have 20 minutes to meditate, sorry, meditate 5 minutes a day. And if you don't have 5 minutes to meditate, meditate 20 minutes. So it's kind of like that thing, like if you're too busy to even do that, like you probably need it more. And so if meditation maybe isn't for you, also try journaling. You can, same thing, journal out your thoughts, maybe some things for the year, especially if you had maybe a stressful year, or that's like one of the things that you just keep reflecting on. Try to think of the highlights of the year. So we all have our phones and take pictures pretty much all the time. So maybe you can go through your camera roll, go back to January 1st, 2024, start from there, look through your pictures or look through your calendar to see what kinds of things that you did this year. You could really reflect on just those really memorable moments and take time to really remember the good. Because especially when we're feeling stressed about maybe like negative things that have happened through the year, it can be really important just to remember the good times because oftentimes that's not what we're remembering. So just write out some of the memories of this year, maybe some of your favorite pictures or things that you got to do that you're really proud of, accomplishments, anything, just to reflect on the year. If this was a year that you had lost loved ones and that's also leading up to more of this like holiday stress, try finding a way to honor them. So maybe it's writing a letter to a lost loved one about how the holiday season is going, how you're feeling, what you guys have done in the past for holidays, um, any kind of way to honor them can really help dealing with that. And I think for me, one of the biggest tips is just to remember to rest. So again, it's a busy time, it's a stressful time. We might be trying to keep up with everything, but also rest is productive. So try to take some time to relax and rest whenever you can. All right, our next big stressor could be family dynamics, right? So obviously, this is a time of year where maybe more people than normal are getting together. You're seeing relatives you've been seen in a long time. Everyone's kind of getting together. It's not maybe your favorite relatives and, people that you get along with the best. But it is that time of year, right? Politics might come up. There could be some strained relationships or conflicts with loved ones that are coming up. You might feel like judgment from some of these relatives. You can't even feel guilt and shame from them, right? Depending on how they're treating you. If they're bringing up some past stuff and you've worked really hard to try to overcome that stuff, but they're still bringing it up or making you feel bad. And so that can really increase the amount of stress that you're kind of dealing with around the holidays. So some basic tips for dealing with family dynamics and like stress from that could be just step away when needed. And I know if you're able to maybe set boundaries and like not be around certain people, if you know that that's going to cause you more stress, try to avoid it. But I know that if the holiday time, it's not always realistic. So even if it's just you feel yourself getting worked up, just step away for a second. Even if it's just everyone that's at a relative's house, you just got to go outside for a couple minutes, practice some deep breathing, listen to your favorite song, kind of get back in that right headspace. Also, just set boundaries with families. So if they start bringing up topics that you don't want to talk about, asking you questions that you really don't feel like answering right now, try just redirecting the conversation or setting a boundary like, oh, now it's not the time for that. How about this? Also, if there are some people that you have trouble being around during the holiday time, try to focus on the good relationships that you have in the family. So if you have a big family gathering and if you have some people that you're really close to and like being around them really gives you that joy, try to stick with them as much as possible. And also just keeping in mind being cautious with touchy subjects. So if you don't want too much to be happening around family time, family gatherings, just be cautious with any subjects that might kind of snowball into something else. All right, next up, we might have a lot of expectations, just like regular holiday expectations. We can put a lot of pressure on what others will do or what we think that they'll do. So you could be really expecting a loved one to could be giving you a gift. It could be doing something special for you. But it's not always fair for us to place those expectations on other people. We can't always control it, right? But we have these expectations in our head of what we think that they're going to do or how we think the event is going to go. Might even put expectations on yourself, right? Like, oh, I have some really high expectations on making sure I get all of this done. I get a gift for everyone. I go to all these things. I host this event. And that can be a lot of pressure and stress that you're like creating. Also, just a lot of expectations on how you think you will feel, which like ironically can sometimes make you feel worse. But again, the holiday time is always thought of as like this really joyful time. And so if you don't feel that way, sometimes you'll put more stress on yourself. Like, oh, I should be happy. Why am I not happy during this time? And it kind of just snowballs the stress a little bit. So go easy on yourself. But here's some ways to lessen the holiday expectations. And there's no perfect answer for some of these, but just try to go with the flow and focus on what you can control. So again, you might have expectations of what other people are going to do, what they're going to bring to the family gathering, how they're going to act, however it may be. You can't really control them though. So try to focus on what you can control and take that stress off. Also, if you do have a lot of, I guess, stress and pressure on how you should be feeling around the holiday time, just try to acknowledge your emotions, right? Like, okay, well, I'm feeling this way probably because of this or that, whatever it may be. And just acknowledge your emotions and know that there's really no specific way that you need to feel. There's also no right way to do the holidays. So if you think that you need to be better about doing these activities with the kids or taking them here or there or hosting the holiday events, there's no right or wrong way to do the holidays. It's going to be whatever works for you. And also, if expectations on yourself or others are really getting in the way, try to open up communication with loved ones, right? So sometimes we even assume that people have high expectations of us during the holiday time. So maybe just communicate like, hey, I'm really stressed. Things are really busy. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can't do. And sometimes just vocalizing where you're at in that moment can take off so much of the stress. Like I know for myself, I always like place really high expectations on myself or think that other people are expecting me to be a certain way. But just communicating out loud can really help just take that stress off, right? Because oftentimes you're met with support and understanding, not in the same way where maybe in your head you're thinking it was going to be total disaster when you addressed it. So just try to be open about what's going on and what is realistic for you during the holiday time. All right, next, in addition to just maybe like pressure from family and loved ones, we also get pressure from society, right? So there's kind of this pressure to give good gifts. It could be, like I said, you want to give the best things to your kids, right? And sometimes you want to do that because you know that, oh, well, my kids are going to tell their friends at school what they got for Christmas, and I got to make sure that it was good enough, and that it's not going to be seen badly, or be judged by other people. So we often experience this really big pressure to give really good gifts. There also can be pressure to do things a certain way, right? So, like I said, might be pressure to attend all the family gatherings that you can, or uh, do all the Christmas things, right? And I'll acknowledge like social media is like a role in that. We might see other families or loved ones going out to see lights and then going out to do this and going out to build a snowman somewhere or whatever it may be. And then that comparison can also add to that pressure, right? So there can be pressure just from these outside forces on how we think the holiday should be or how other people are experiencing the holiday. So if we're trying to lessen that societal pressure, I think some of the big things, because again, we can't control the outside, we can't control what other people can do, but we can maybe take time to reflect on your own values, right? Being like, okay, Christmas, the holiday time, whatever you celebrate may not be about gifts, right? Maybe you want to get back to the values that it's about time with family or making memories or, you know, being in community with others, whatever it may be. Just reflect on what your values are and how you really want the holidays to go. And then once you do that, try to do things in a way that works for you. So again, whether it's changing up the whole way that you do gifts altogether, a different approach to gifts, different activities, just do something that works for you to take some of that pressure off. And also, if social media is really affecting the way that you're seeing other people do things, just know that social media doesn't show everything, right? People are only showing the good parts. They're not showing all of their stress and all of their things going on behind it. Okay, next we have holiday schedules, right? So we're already busy enough as is, but now during the holiday time, now I have to push myself to go to all these social events, see these people, visit family in town. And on top of that, you might be juggling work, kids, kids that are on school break, family, like I said, family coming into town, and holiday activities. So that's like a whole snowball of events that contribute to really busy holiday schedules. And so could even be stressful just having to make decisions on family events, right? Maybe you have a family that's split up and you have to decide, okay, are the kids going to my side or their side? Am I going to my family's or my in-laws? And that can be a whole other level of holiday stress, for like the schedules and planning. So, some tips for how to stress less on your holiday schedules. It can be really hard, but try to say no to some events. If you're feeling burnt out and overbooked, um, try to say no to some of them. Prioritize what events are really important to you or ones that you really think it's important to go to, and say yes to those ones instead. Also, just find other ways to celebrate with family. So, again, oftentimes we're met with a lot of decisions on, okay, well, am I going to go to my side of the family or am I going to go to my in-laws side of the family? So maybe there can be some middle ground and compromise, right? So on the actual holiday with your in-laws family, and then the day after with your family, and just kind of like putting it off by a day or doing something else in place of it. So it's just knowing that, you don't have to say no to everything, but just find ways to make it work. Also, as busy as this holiday season is, between all of the million things that I know you all have going on, sounds funny, but schedule fun time, right? If you keep a calendar on you, find a day or whatever it is and actually put it in there. Fun time, a fun activity, because when we see that, it becomes relevant and we don't put it off. So if it is really important to you to have some holiday activities or whatever it is, put it in your calendar, right? Easier said than done, but try to put it in your calendar. All right, so these now are just some general tips for de-stressing. They're not necessarily focused on any one thing. Some of these you kind of saw in the other tips, but some just general tips for de-stressing. Again, meditate, whether it's for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. Find a way to make it work for you. So laying down in bed, maybe go outside on the patio, maybe go for a walk around the block. However it makes sense for you to meditate, try to do that. I also think it's really helpful to have some type of like morning or nighttime relaxing ritual. Right? It doesn't have to be morning or night, it can be whatever works for you, but I find that because of our daily routines, usually in the morning or nighttime, seems to work better. Right? And things can be really busy at home. So again, you're gonna have to be flexible and figure out a way to make it work. So one example that I might have for that would be if I'm feeling really overwhelmed, but I feel like I don't have time to do anything, I will put on some sound canceling headphones and play like meditation music while still doing whatever it is I need to do. Maybe I'm making breakfast or getting myself set up for the day. But just having those headphones on is like my little ritual, daily ritual in the morning, just to try to set myself up for the day. And then it's a way to still get things done, but still feel like I'm having a little bit of a relaxing time. So that's just something that I found works for me. Maybe you can find something that works for you. Again, schedule fun time. I think creating those joyful memories around this time can be really what gets you through the holiday stress. So try to schedule in that fun time. Also, plan ahead. Know what's coming up in this coming week, what you need to be doing, what you want to do, and just make a plan for it. Again, communicate openly, whether it's with your kids, friends, other loved ones, just about how you're feeling, what you're really able to do right now, or maybe you do need some time to go out. Maybe you do need some help scheduling out fun time. Tell your family that, right? They can help you out. Maybe they'll watch the kids while you have some extra fun time. Maybe you all get together and go out for some fun time. So just having that open communication can help people know where you're at. No one's mind readers, so it'll help you get the support that you need. Remember to prioritize could be activities, gifts, or events, but prioritize making the time for that and getting it on the schedule, figuring out what is important to you and what's not. So that way we're not burning ourselves out and we're able to see, well, I'll do the things that matter the most to me right now. Another helpful tip for de-stressing is writing out a gratitude list. I believe there's something that actually happens like to our brain when we just take some time to write out things that we're thankful for. So even if it feels like it's really hard, it could be the littlest things. It could be, well, I napped for an hour. Maybe that's your gratitude list for the day. Maybe it's, hey, I have my two legs that can walk today. Whatever it is that you can think of that you can be thankful for, try to write out a list. And also, if you're able to, create a small space for relaxing. So even if it's a tiny corner or just one chair in the house, try to make that like your little safe zone, right? Have some relaxing candles around there. Play some relaxing music. Have a nice cozy blanket there. Have it be maybe like a nice relaxing light, not some really loud fluorescent light right in your face. So just trying to have a little area so that way, maybe when you're at home doing your chores, getting the kids ready, whatever it is, you just need a couple minutes for a little break. You can go over to your little small space for relaxing and kind of reconnect, recenter. And then one of my last tips for de-stressing, and I find this is really helpful, especially like let's say on actual holiday events. Maybe you're at a family gathering, it is super overwhelming. You feel like you're gonna snap at any moment. Maybe just go outside for a second and hum. So it sounds silly, but humming regulates our nervous system because we have a vagus nerve, which is located like around our throat. And so when we hum, it actually helps us to like physically calm down. So try that out if you're in a pinch and you're like, "Ah, I got to get it together real fast. Um, and so again, in addition to like humming, we could focus on breathing. And so that'll be, I'll have a couple more slides on breathing specifically, because again, we want to find things that are realistic to do, things that maybe we can do anywhere, at any time. We don't need some crazy resources to do it. So focus on breathing. So even if it's just 2 minutes of like focused deep breathing, that can reduce your stress. It can lower your blood pressure, lower your heart rate. It can even improve focus and then promote relaxation, right? And so there are studies that have actually been done on this, right? Just having that intentional time of like, okay, breathe in, breathe out, and mindfully breathing, not just doing it, because we do it all the time, but putting that thought and effort into it, it really does create um, this weird thing that happens in our body where we start to calm down, we start to focus. So if anything, prioritize just a couple minutes of breathing. And so I'll go over some of the methods for some different breathing methods, right? So maybe you've heard of this, but it's called box breathing. And it's a way of breathing. It's like a deep breathing method that helps us calm down our nervous system. So the rule is about 4 seconds for each step, right? So you breathe in for 4 seconds, then you hold that for 4 seconds, and then you breathe out for 4 seconds, and then you hold that for 4 seconds. And so one of the things that's really emphasized too is inhaling through your nose and breathing out of your mouth, but whatever is most comfortable for you. And so I have a little box on the side to help show how it goes. But for example, if we start up in this corner here, I want to inhale. So it's kind of like the visual of why it might be called box breathing, right? Because it's those equal 4 seconds each. Um, and I think if you need like that visual for it, just take your finger, put it over the box, trace, so you know exactly when you should be inhaling, holding, or exhaling. So again, just 2 minutes of that focused breathing can really help lessen your stress levels. And so if for some reason just breathing without any type of visual or guide isn't for you, sometimes people really like benefit from, I guess, like a visual like this, right? So for example, we have this light, we can see it kind of getting full into the screen, going in. This is going to imitate like breathing in and breathing out. So I know that when we get to the largest size, maybe we're breathing in or breathing out at that point. Just try setting up something like this and taking some time to breathe. If any of you have maybe an Apple Watch or some type of smartwatch, some of them do have a feature for relaxing or breathing, and it'll take your heart rate, so your pulse, throughout the whole time. So you'll see that before you did the deep breathing, maybe my heart rate was at 114, right? 114 beats per minute. I do 2 minutes of breathing and it'll tell me how much it dropped by. So maybe I'm down to 74 now, you know. But if you have a smartwatch like that, look into seeing if it has that feature, because it's kind of neat to see how the breathing is working in real time. Okay, so we've done some breathing exercises. I think we're all feeling relaxed now. So some of the last things that we're going to go over are just some gift ideas. So for example, if you're looking for some homemade, handmade, low cost ideas, um, these are just, I'm not going to dive super deep into each of these, but feel free to take note of them. And the internet has a lot of resources on it. But if you are a person who likes making things, maybe try making a salve, right? The ingredients might be pretty simple. You might have some of it at home already, but usually it's it could be olive oil, some type of like safe oil, a little bit of beeswax, And then even if you have like an essential oil to add to it, you could do that. Um, and that could be like a really neat handmade gift for people to use. And it's useful too, which is really nice. If you like the crafting, again, another thing that's really, once you have the materials, can be really easy to do, especially for a lot of people. And then it looks really nice to be candles, right? So as long as you have the wax, the wick, and maybe a jar to put it in, which you can get at Goodwill, dollar store, um, whatever it may be. You can put these candles in, and then once you put maybe a little bit of, like we have the rosebuds on that one, maybe it's a little sprig of rosemary on the top. That right there, it looks like a fancy made candle. Some other examples could be doing a body scrub, right? We might already have ingredients at home to make a body scrub also. It could be honey mixed with sugar or some coffee grounds and oil, right? And then again, just put in a little jar, tie a little ribbon around it, and suddenly it's become this really nice homemade gift. Maybe you're into making bracelets or jewelry. You could be baking or making some treats. An essential oil spray, again, pretty simple. It's like these things that feel really like elevated and fancy. It feels like this nice effort gift, but can also be really simple. Right? You have a little glass jar, some water, and some essential oils. So it's kind of like the base of it. We can do a recipe jar. So if you have a jar, and maybe there's, especially if there's something that you really like making that maybe you're known for, it's like a way of putting all the ingredients together and then just the instructions for how someone can make it. So, for example, it could be a type of soup or pasta soup. Right? So you can put some dried pasta noodles, some dried beans, some seasoning, some dried veggies, whatever it may be, into a jar. And then once you give that to someone, they'll have the directions. Oh, boil in hot water for this long, or do this. I mean, I've seen that done with a lot of baked goods also, like brownie mix in a jar or like hot cocoa in a jar. So it has all the ingredients already in there, and really, at least all the dry ingredients in there. And then really all they have to do is just bake it from there. A cute little idea could be a hot chocolate spoon, right? If you have a disposable spoon, getting some chocolate chips or chocolate from the store, melting it onto the spoon, and then just putting some nice like toppings on it. It could be marshmallows, sprinkles, some crushed up candy cane, and then just wrapping it in like a Ziploc bag or some type of plastic. And it's cute, like little holiday gift. Let's see, we also some other ideas could be air dry clay. Right? There's a lot of things you can make with that. And a big old tub of it isn't really too pricey either. I just have used the Crayola ones, right? So it's not the fanciest air dry clay, but you can make incense holders. You can make a little trinket dish, jewelry dish, and it's gonna just be able to set on its own. You don't have to worry about frying it in the kiln. If you wanted to really, add some pizzazz, you could paint it or stamp some little designs in it like this. And maybe even just put like a layer of Mod Podge over it to seal it. Scrapbooking is another really meaningful gift you can make for people. Maybe you've seen it before, but it could also be a sharp mug. So the examples on here just have like a singular letter on it, but you can see it's like they stenciled it, poked around it with a Sharpie, and then you would bake it in the oven at a certain temperature. Um, Again, I would look at the internet. The internet has all the steps. I call it the University of YouTube or whatever, wherever you find your information. Um, these are just some of the ideas for gifts, but there's a million more, and there might be some that speak to you more than these, right? But the last one on here, we've got Mod Podge glass. So you could have maybe a vase or a glass to drink from and decorate it with something flat and then cover it with Mod Podge. Right, so the picture here has some dried pressed flowers. You could put some stamps or some photos in Mod Podge it. And then it just becomes this really special, like handmade gift. One of a kind, really. And that's priceless. Okay, so here's just a few ideas for some fun family crafts. But if you want to make the space feel nice and, you know, holiday seasonal. Instead of breaking the bank trying to buy all these decorations, get all these things together, not only will these family crafts add some decoration into the place, but it'll also be a really fun time for yourself and, loved ones. So one example would be the popcorn garland. So all you really need for that is popcorn, a sewing needle, and some thread. And then if you really want, you can put some cranberries on there. The picture has the cranberries, so it adds that little pop of red. But you basically just string kernels of popcorn onto this thread, and then you can decorate a tree with it. You can hang it up on the wall, however works for you. But it becomes this little festive thing. Also, maybe you've seen this before, but you could also make salt dough ornaments. And again, the recipe for that's really simple. It's just salt, flour, and water. And so you'll find all the information on YouTube or on the internet. But you mix those together. You can roll it out and cut out the shapes or try to shape it yourself. If you put a little hole in it, then you can tie a string around it after it bakes. And so then if you really wanted to get fancy with it, you can paint it, you can add other things onto it. But then it becomes this really special ornament that you guys can keep. Lastly, for a family craft, you could paint pine cones with the kids. So go outside, find some pine cones. And the example that I have on here almost looks like a little miniature Christmas tree. But I thought that was fun. You can paint it green, add some little things on it as ornaments. And then again, it's a fun craft. Also comes this really cute decoration. And again, all you use pine cones, paint, and a paintbrush for that one. Now, some family activities if you wanted it to feel like a nice holiday season. Of course, could be going around looking at holiday lights, especially, around San Diego County, there's like Christmas Card Lane, Starlight Circle, ones like that, that all the houses really participate in. So it's always fun to try to find those and go check those out. Could also do a holiday movie night, right? Heat up some hot cocoa, make some popcorn, just maybe it's watching The Grinch or some other holiday movie, but becomes kind of like a fun little tradition. Another fun one could be cookie contest, cookie decorating contest. So local grocery stores will probably already have some like pre-done cookies and have little things to like do the icing. So try that out. You guys can decorate it, judge it. It can be even like a really fun event to host a family. And so some other things too is just look up other local holiday events. Some places will have carolers. There'll definitely be like other light events around. Even some places have street fairs, just all around the holiday time. So it feels like really festive and fun. And I would check out the Hotel del Coronado because they have a free light show during this season. I think it goes until January 5th or 6th, but it's open to the public. And then this free light show happens like on a rotation, it's like every like 30 minutes or so. So check it out, and it's kind of a fun way to do it. And then you can see all of the decorations for the Hotel del Coronado and still see a light show. And so remember, during all the holiday stress, just try to soak up all of the good times. Okay, so we hope that you feel inspired to de-stress and have some family fun during the holiday season. I hope that this training kind of give you some good tips for de-stressing and maybe some ideas for gifts or holiday fun time. So thank you again for joining. We hope you enjoyed our wintertime training. And please fill out the survey using the link in the YouTube description box below. That way we can just see what you want us to do workshops on. That feedback really helps us also. And then also if you need some work participation hours, using that survey and the link will help you out. So otherwise, thank you for joining and hope you have a great rest of the day.